Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Over the Top, 1987. I'm giving this 1 out of 5 stars. I really dislike this movie. It's about Sylvester Stallone was this muscle guy and a wife beater, just part-time trucker, part-time arm wrestler. In fact, towards the end, this movie reminded me a lot of big-time wrestling from the 80s. Terry Funk is in this. He was a big-time wrestler. He was the NWA champion in 1976. And I remember him from my boyhood days because I would get bored during the summer, so I'd watch Mid-South Wrestling. And that was the best to me, the Mid-South Wrestling. Anyways, enough about wrestling and Terry Funk. So Sylvester Stallone deserted his son for 10 years. His son is kind of an uppity military academy kid from what's the name of the town? I'm trying to think of that town in California. I can't think of the name of it, but you can see the name of the town on the letters that Sylvester Stallone is writing on his to his son. It's not Beverly Hills, but it's something close to it. I forgot the name for the life of me. It's on the tip of my tongue too. And so the kid is living with his grandfather, and this 10-year-old kid is kind of spoiled brat. And this movie irritated me. First of all, anything that's PG and also God, my brain's just not working. I've been working like 9 hours, and trying to think. Oh, I got Kickboxer in the mail, but I could have sworn I've already seen Kickboxer. I don't know why. Or maybe it was another Jean-Claude Van Damme film that I saw. Oh, the Cannon Group. Okay, so as I was saying, anything that's PG and the Cannon Group, stay far away from, first of all. And second of all, with all the custody battles going on with this movie, it really irritated me. It reminded me of the nightmare that my son's mother put me through, the nightmare that I hope my son never goes through. They just got a lot of corny music. I'll put the musicians' names in the soundtrack. A lot of rock stars from the 80s doing the soundtrack to this film. And somewhat of a lamestream movie because the Cannon Group went in on it with Warner Brothers, and they got Sylvester Stallone to star in it, which is kind of a coup for the Cannon Group, if you ask me. Sylvester Stallone is like a superstar, not one of these B-movie actors like Chuck Norris or the other guy from Death Wish. Yeah. The Death Wish guy, Charles Bronson. I just can't think of anything right now. I'm just so tired and burned out. After 5 days of not working now, I'm looking at possibly 5 straight days of working 2 jobs. Well, not that bad, but pretty close. And so I'm sorry that I'm kind of slow on this video, but anyways, getting back to the story. So the grandfather, who's kind of an uppity rich guy, he owns a trucking company or something, I think. Didn't find out too much of his background, but apparently he was the reason why they Sylvester Stallone broke up with his wife. But he didn't want to tell his kid that because, social workers always talk about, don't ever talk about divorce. But if I don't tell it to my son, then he'll repeat the same mistakes that I made, which is what I'm more worried about, actually. So, Sylvester Stallone's trying to be politically correct. He said, "Oh, I made mistakes. It was all my fault." Actually, it was the grandpa's fault. So at first, the dying mother has a heart condition. She's in the hospital. Okay, staying at the hospital bed, and she wants her son to spend time with his dad, Sylvester Stallone. So at first they get off to a rocky start. They're fighting with each other. He wants to run away and all this stuff. And eventually he gets him to arm wrestle the kid, to arm wrestle this bigger kid. And predictably the weaker kid ends up winning, which kind of foretells the rest of the story. You can pretty much guess how it ends. Okay, so Sylvester Stallone is on his way to Las Vegas. He's trying to be the world champion arm wrestler so that he can win all this money, start a new company with his son, a new trucking company. So he sells his 18-wheeler and for $7,000, which is probably a lot of money back in 1987. I think I was a sophomore in high school at the time. And, anyways, he sells his truck. He enters the arm wrestling contest, and the son is mad at him because the mother dies in the hospital, and he's irritated that he didn't get time to spend with his mother. He was spending it with his dad. It's all his dad's fault. And then there's the funeral, and the kid runs away to see the Las Vegas event with the arm wrestling. That reminded me of the big time wrestling, probably because Terry Funk was in it. Ruined the whole experience. It reminded me how dumb I was watching big time wrestling when I was a teenager, collecting wrestling magazines and putting the pictures of the big time wrestlers on my bedroom wall, along with Budweiser, Motorhead, and what else? Joan Jett, the flat-chested Joan Jett in her leather, in her spiked hair. That's what I had on my bedroom wall when I was a kid. And, I could have read books or become somewhat of a nerd instead of going through puberty and getting into fights and chasing girls and stuff when I was like 13. But I think the puberty took over and it was too strong. I hope that doesn't happen to my son, because that's around the time when I want him to start taking college classes and also the coding class with algebra and more advanced than the Scratch stuff, which is probably what I'll tell the judge on Tuesday. I've got a court hearing. It's still on the calendar, and I don't know if I'm supposed to do it on Zoom or go there in person. But I think everything is shutting down in San Mateo County. All of a sudden, it's like lockdown part 2. The Catholic Church, St. Gregory, shut down. I never wanted to go in there when it turned into a CDC church anyway. So I'll be going to the Calvary. That's in the news. It went to the Supreme Court in Nevada. One of the Calvary chapels sued to stay in business during the lockdown in Nevada. And the 5 justices wouldn't even hear the case, the majority on the Supreme Court, because I guess they think that gambling is more important than going to church. It's rather inconsistent, as one of the Congress scritters was telling Dr. Fauci at some point. But I think one of Trump's nominees was in the dissent, sort of made that point. But anyways, getting back to the story. So, PG, no nudity for Canon film. I think they just did it for the money, which irritates me to no end. And so you got the wrestling, you got the lame rock music from the 80s. You've got the irritating custody battle between the grandfather and Sylvester Stallone. The grandfather absolutely hates Sylvester Stallone, and Sylvester Stallone kind of ruins his estate with this big 18-wheeler truck, crashes through the front door just so that he can talk to his son, and he ends up going to jail, and he promises to stay out of California for so that they drop the charges. But then he does a little bait and switch, and he changes his mind. He says he wants his son back, which is pretty clever, actually. I wish I could think of something like that to get my son, but I guess I have to wait until he's 18, and then we'll see if they come up with another new fake virus to lock us down again. The never-ending lockdown. I told my ex-wife it's probably going to go on another 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised the way these politicians and health experts, the way they love to control our lives here in California. But my financial advisor said to me that everything would reopen in a few weeks because there would be too much pressure from business. I think everything's going to lock down until the government runs out of money completely, and they sell all their assets to corporations. Then we'll really be in a nightmare situation. But by then, hopefully, I can sort of semi-retire. I'll have enough assets built up. I'm trying to save up $10,000 this year, which isn't much, but little by little with these super growth stocks, I think I can earn enough money to the point where, instead of making $50 a day, I'm making $500 a day. Something like that. That's my goal. But it's all unrealized gains. I haven't sold any of my stocks, so I have this habit of buying and holding stocks instead of day trading, mainly because I don't want to be taxed at the higher rate here in California. It's the highest taxes in the world besides Australia, I think. But anyways, enough about personal stuff. I just wanted to talk about the over the top. It bothers me that I can't think of the name of the town. Am I losing my mind, or am I just tired? This is a very popular movie, by the way. Over the Top. That's why I think Canon just did it for the money. You know what I mean? But Bel Air. Yes! All I had to do was enter a query in Google, other rich town besides Beverly Hills. And the first one popped up, 90077, Bel Air, Beverly Glen. That's where the kid is from. It only took me like 20 minutes to figure that out. Jeez. I'm losing my mind, or I'm getting tired. I think it's time for bed. I had my ramen for dinner, by the way, the chicken ramen. And the Japanese version, the Sapporo Ichiban, tastes way better than any U.S. ramen. So I think I'm going to stick with that from now on. Just you can drain the liquid and just leave a tiny bit of liquid, pour in the soup base, mix it together with some chicken, and it's really good. I'm sold on it. Domo arigato gozaimasu. That's my terrible Japanese. Anyways, that's the end of my review. Avoid this at all costs. The lame stream 80s movie. I'll try to get the soundtrack musicians in the description box. Just give me a minute here. Laters.